Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome to Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City. Hello to everybody in South Dakota. Also, thanks to everyone streaming on Inform.com. Welcome. It is the 6th day of August. Can't believe we're already in August. Thanks for joining us. Another beautiful day. Talking to our meteorologist crew, our storm tracker crew yesterday. It sounds like the weather's going to be sticking around for a little bit. So that's a positive sign in my book, that's for sure. And, of course, that's really beneficial on a day like today because today is the day North Dakota high school football is officially underway today. Kicked off late last night out in western North Dakota, in Beach, North Dakota, for their annual midnight practice. We'll get the full rundown of that later on in the show. Dom teased it yesterday. We will have our guy this morning, Mike Zier, the head coach of the Beach Buccaneers, joining us to help wrap up the show later on this morning. But things are officially underway in the state of North Dakota. We got our fall camp tour coming up throughout the next couple of weeks as well. And then before you know it, end of the month, we'll get right into kickoff, and it'll be the start of the high school football season across the region, which I am very, very excited about. It's an exciting time. There's no doubt about it. The next few days are kind of the transition for us in the sports media world, if you will, even though the last couple of years have been a little different. We call what has been the last couple of months, June, July, little bit of August, the slow period, quote unquote, if you will, and now we are breaking out of that and really getting into the busy part of the sports calendar. That's for sure, with a lot of things happening every day, every single week, and starting that off is the North Dakota high school football season, fall camp starting, Minnesota not too far behind, and we'll give you the full rundown of that later on throughout the morning as well with Mike Zier. We'll also have another special guest on this morning to talk about that. Now, before we start everything, if you haven't noticed already, 3 minutes in, no, I am not Dom Izzo. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom this morning. Happy to be here. Good to be back in the big chair. I should preface before we get really into the meat and potatoes of everything. I have been MIA for the last couple of weeks almost. It's been a pretty busy time in my family household. A couple of weeks ago, was out in Duluth, got to celebrate my cousin's wedding, which was a lot of fun. Congratulations to Grady and Kaylee. I know nobody knows who they are, but it was a great wedding out there in Duluth. I haven't been to Canal Park in a long time. So that was kind of the fun thing that was on our schedule. And then come to find out a couple of days after that, that my grandmother had passed away after a long and hard battle with dementia. So spent the beginning of this week and last weekend back home in New Prague, Minnesota, and St. Thomas, where she is from, and Le Sueur, and celebrating my grandma Maxine's life. We had a beautiful service on Tuesday, got back on Wednesday. It was great to see the family and kind of look back at the good times with my grandmother, who had 8 kids, 20 grandkids, and 15 great-grandkids. So it's a big family, and she did a wonderful job. She lived a full life at the age of 86 as well. So that's kind of what I've been up to. So I bring that up just to say I've been out of the game for a little bit in terms of of following things. But as we go on throughout the morning, we'll do our best to recap and also preview what's coming up over the next couple of days. Also recap what happened last night as well. We'll get Dom back in his studio whenever he can. But in the meantime, you got me. So it's going to be a fun end of the week here. We have a ton going on, that's for sure. Of course, as I mentioned, high school football fall camp starting today in North Dakota. We got a cast of thousands, if you will, trekking all corners of the state to get coverage of that going on. And then I should remind you that tomorrow, this show, Hot Mike, will be live up at North Fargo at North Dakota State football's indoor practice facility for their Bison Media Day, which is coming up tomorrow. We will have the show from 9 to 11, packed with a bunch of interviews. We'll hear from the head ball coach, Tim Polasek, and a ton of players as well. That's coming up from 9 to 11 tomorrow. You can catch that on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, KNBN out in South Dakota. Also streaming on inform.com. So that's coming up tomorrow. Get you the full breakdown. Of course, North Dakota State football season is... oh, man, it's coming up quicker than I can imagine. August 29th is the first game. Well, we're right there, a couple of weeks away. Crazy to think about. So while that's happening tomorrow, just a programming note for you. Corey Provis will not join us, the voice of the Minnesota Twins on Twins TV. He will not join us tomorrow morning because we will be live at North Dakota State's Media Day. But since he won't join us tomorrow, let's get you a recap of what has happened with the Minnesota Twins, especially last night, because things are not going the way of the Twinkies right now. Yesterday, they played Game 2 of their series in Kansas City, looking to end a 3-game skid that they have been on and bounce back after an 8-2 loss that happened on Tuesday. Here's what happened yesterday in Kansas City. Starting the top of the fourth, runners on base for the Minnesota Twins. Victor Caratini grounds in to a double play, but Josh Bell comes in to score. So 1-0 at that point. Bases loaded for the Royals in the bottom of the fifth. Kyle Isbell with a sac fly to center, and that'll score Michael Massey. So we are tied at 1 with 2 outs in the fifth. We move over to the bottom of the sixth. This was probably the Twins' highlight of the game outside of the run scored. Bobby Witt Jr., a liner to left, and Trevor Larnach, a beautiful diving catch for the out. So we stay tied at 1 as we head into the bottom of the seventh. Big game for Michael Massey. He hits a solo home run to right center. 2-1 lead for the Royals at that point, and then they would hold on the rest of the way. Cody Clemens at the plate. No late game heroics for him this time. And Kansas City gets the win 2-1 over the Minnesota Twins. Minnesota now 56-59 on the season. If you're not good at math like myself, that's 3 games below 500. Just 2 hits in the entire game. What happened? I haven't watched the Twins. Like I said, a lot going on in my world over the last couple of weeks. I haven't seen them in a while. And Ben brought up a good point. Who's pressing the buttons in the back for us this morning? After the trade deadline, they get all these pitchers, but what happened to the hitting? I thought that was the strength of this team. Not the case yesterday. Ryan Jeffers and Royce Lewis, the only ones with hits in the game. Dean Kramer, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 strikeouts, and 2 walks. Noah Cameron gets the win for the Royals, 5 innings as well, with just his 1 strikeout. But Michael Massey with a big game and his 9th home run of the season. So as I said, 56-59. Record for the Minnesota Twins this year. They are currently sitting 3rd in the AL Central, now 4 games back of the Chicago White Sox, who are 5 games above 500, 1 game back of the Cleveland Guardians. And of course, losing 2 to Kansas City on the road is not what you want to see, especially with Kansas City down at the bottom of the AL Central. These are games that you gotta have, especially with Detroit now climbing into the picture and potentially chasing that spot that Minnesota's in right now. They're only a half game back of the Minnesota Twins. The wild card picture, Texas, Cleveland's in it, Of course, you got New York and Boston. Baltimore is also in the hunt as well. They're a half game up on Minnesota and the Seattle Mariners. And both Seattle and Minnesota 56 and 59 on the season. So we'll see. I don't know. These are games that you got to have for the Minnesota Twins. They have now lost 4 in a row. Things aren't looking good after the trade deadline. We'll see if they can turn it around. Fingers crossed. This is a much-needed game. Final game of the series against Kansas City is coming up tonight. They got the prime time. They got ESPN tonight, 6:30. First pitch for that against the Royals. It's Bailey Ober this evening against Michael Wacha. I have not heard that name since he was with the St. Louis Cardinals way back in the day. So we'll see what Michael Wacha can bring to the bump for Kansas City. Now, after this one is done for Minnesota, they will start a series with the red-hot Milwaukee Brewers, which is not going to be easy. Milwaukee is currently top of the NL Central right now, 71-43 on a tear. I've wondered why Eric Bennell has been walking around the station over the last couple of months just grinning ear to ear, and I think I found the answer. It's because Milwaukee is red hot. They're 5.5 up on the Chicago Cubs in the NL Central. So when that series comes around, after today, it'll start on tomorrow, they'll go with Prelip, Taj Bradley, and then Joe Ryan for that series against Milwaukee. If I had to guess, they'll probably get nailed on Sunday by Jacob Mizorowski, who is the flamethrower for the Milwaukee Brewers, but we'll have to see. Again, they're at the top of the NL Central there. In the wild card in the National League, it's the Chicago Cubs, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Philadelphia Phillies with San Diego, Miami, and St. Louis not too far behind. So that's your Twins update. See if they can turn anything around. We'll chat a little bit more about the Twins coming up later on this morning. We'll have our guy Riley Swenson joining us at the start of the second hour. So that is coming up. Speaking of baseball news, we also had some local action last night. The Fargo 13U baseball team playing in the Little League Intermediate Baseball World Series out in Livermore, California. We've had some of their guys on the show earlier this week to preview what it's been like to be out in California for this tournament and look ahead to the competition. Well, yesterday, North Dakota, the team out of Fargo representing the Central, they were taking on the West, which is represented actually by the team located in Livermore, so that's not that fair, but nonetheless, I'm kidding. Win this game, and you move on to the U.S. title game coming up tomorrow. And really, from the jump, it was a tough go for the Fargo 13U Little Leaguers. This is the top of the first, a ground ball, get the out, throw over to third. There's an error. Fargo had 5 errors in this game against Northern California. This one skips by the third baseman. Good throw home. And as you see there, originally the home plate umpire called the base runner out. It would go to review, and Foote got in just in time. So Northern California would put up 5 runs in the top of the first, and they would not look back after that. This is a double to the left field gap, drives in 2 more runs. That would push the kids from Livermore, California to the 10-run rule. They would continue to add on to that. 17-0 at this point in the bottom of the 6th. Last out opportunity for the boys from Fargo. Couldn't get it done. And Northern California, representing the West region, is advancing to the U.S. championship game, which is coming up on Saturday, not tomorrow. It's coming up on Saturday. And they await the winner. Fargo's not done. I should say that. The 13U team from Fargo is not over yet. It's double elimination. They do take on another California team coming up later on today, California D57, who won yesterday against the Southeast region 11-1. So an opportunity for North Dakota and the Central region to get one back on the boys from California. We will see. If they win that game, they advance to that U.S. championship game on Saturday. And then if they win that game, then they move on to the championship, which is coming up on Sunday. Puerto Rico is solid on the international side of that. They await the winner of Asia Pacific and Latin America. Now, I think I heard this the other day, and I'll ask Riley when he gets in here later on this morning if I'm correct. I think and it's double elimination, but at this point, I think it goes down to single elimination. I could be completely wrong on that, but I believe that's what I heard with this Intermediate Baseball World Series. I'll have to get the confirm on that in the second hour. If that's the case, that's a rule that I don't necessarily quite agree with. But we'll see if they fall, then they're done. We'll see if they can turn it around. Now, other local baseball action happening throughout the weekend as well. Should give you an update. The Fargo 12U Little League team had them on the show. Their coaches on the show earlier this week. They kick off the Midwest Regional in pursuit of the Little League World Series out in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. That starts tomorrow at noon. Against Davenport, Iowa, and that game is on ESPN+. Should mention the 13U team is also on ESPN+ today as well. And Fargo Post 2 kicks off their region play in the Central Plains Regional today at 1:30. Those games are being played out in Mandan. They have the team from Lincoln coming up here, so that should be a fun one. We'll recap everything happening on the local baseball scene later on in the show, but it is a good time for Fargo baseball, there's no doubt. Yeah, the 13U team, it was a no-hitter thrown by Northern California, tip of the cap to them. It was a really well-played game. Anytime you can put up 17 runs and 21 hits and capitalize on a couple of errors here and there, they deserve to win the ball game, that's for sure. Just the second no-hitter thrown in that tournament's history. So we'll see if North Dakota in the 13U side of things can climb their way back and get into the U.S. Championship game and get some redemption there. But if not, still a lot of good things happening with 12U and Legion Baseball as well. If I had to guess, out of the three teams still competing late in the postseason, got to imagine at least one of them's going to go on to do some more great things. That's for sure. So we'll see on that. Only time will tell. All right, that's our update on what's happening with baseball. We'll touch on some football stuff here in just a little bit. In the meantime, here's a look at our guest lineup for today, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Looking forward to chatting with these three today. Elijah Wayne joins us at the bottom of the hour. We had the opportunity to chat with him at North Dakota State football's fall camp. He will join us at 9:35, get his thoughts on what year two is like, his sophomore campaign, what he thinks of the defensive line, and the changes that he has made again to his body to adjust to the competition he's going to see at the FBS level. So that is coming up at 9:35. Also joining us in the second hour, usually it's me on a Thursday, but we'll flip it. Since I'm in the big chair, we'll bring in our WDAY sports anchor, Riley Swenson. He will join us at the top of the second hour, chat about everything that's happening with local baseball. He's also got his finger on the pulse with some college football news as well, and plenty other topics we'll get to with Riley coming up in the 10 o'clock hour. And also at 10:35, I'm excited about this one. I haven't seen him in a long time. Mike Zier, the head coach of the Beach Buccaneers, will join us at 10:35 to help wrap up the show this morning. He is getting a couple of Z's right now, I would imagine. He was up late last night. Beach, known for their annual midnight practice on the opening day of North Dakota High School fall camp, and we'll get his thoughts on how that went yesterday and his thoughts on the season ahead coming up at 10:35. That's our guest lineup, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Let's take a break. When we come back, we will turn our attention over to the NFL. Believe it or not, that starts tonight, preseason action. We'll also get you an update on the Minnesota Vikings and some of the other latest news in the NFL as well. That's coming up when we come back on Hot Mic. Welcome back on this Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us on Hot Mic, however you are. WDAY Extra, KSFL, KNBN out in South Dakota, also streaming on inform.com. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo today. Again, a reminder for you, we will be live on location tomorrow at North Dakota State Football's Media Day. Looking forward to that coming up 9 to 11 here on the program. Now, believe it or not, we actually get our first taste of the NFL and what's to come for this upcoming season. We get that tonight. Tonight's the annual Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio, if that snuck up on you like it snuck up on me, that's your warning. A little prereq to our What to Watch coming up later on this morning. But the Hall of Fame game is coming up tonight. Now, I can't promise, because it usually isn't, and this matchup doesn't look too great either. The game's not going to be all that fantastic this evening, but at least it's a glimpse of NFL football in August, which I am all for. Tonight's matchup in the Hall of Fame game is the Carolina Panthers taking on the Arizona Cardinals, 7 o'clock, and the game is on NBC. Interesting thing to note there, the starting quarterback battle is a couple of names that you may be familiar with to open up preseason. Carson Beck, who just got drafted to Arizona out of Miami, the University of Miami, he will start for the Cardinals. He was the starting quarterback for former Bison running back Marty Brown last season. They put together a really solid year. Now he's out in Arizona. He'll get the start today. And another familiar name will get the start for Carolina in Kenny Pickett. So interested to see how those two are going to go at it on national TV to unofficially open up the NFL season. And, of course, that is the lead into the Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony, which is on Saturday with a great class that I'm actually pretty excited about. Drew Brees, Roger Craig, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, and Adam Vinatieri. Those are some pretty solid names, if you ask me, and a couple of guys with some local connections to our region as well. Larry Fitzgerald from Minnesota, Adam Vinatieri from South Dakota out in the Rapid City area, also South Dakota State. Went on to, all over the place, but famously known for his time in New England and more famously known for his time in Indianapolis, in my opinion. My favorite, I would say probably my favorite player of all time, him and Peyton Manning, being a Colts fan like I am. It's great to see Adam Vinatieri getting that honor. Definitely deserved. I know they'll be cheering out in South Dakota, so congratulations to that entire class. That's coming up on Saturday. Now, of course, there's been some other big news throughout the NFL with training camp going on for all the teams across the country. One of the big headlines yesterday in the NFL involved the Washington Commanders and a guy that we're also familiar with here in our neck of the woods. Stephon Diggs is now going to be a part of the Commanders. Washington signed him to a one-year deal worth up to $12 million yesterday. Of course, that fills out the big question that they were having in the number 2 wide receiver position. Who's going to be the guy behind Terry McLaurin? And they figured that out with Stephon Diggs. Now, I was thinking about this last night, and of course, still a very serviceable wide receiver, but long gone are the days of Diggs' sideline touchdown in the Minneapolis Miracle. He is not what we saw when he was with the Minnesota Vikings, but still a very good wide receiver nonetheless. It's a big pickup for Washington. ESPN also reporting yesterday that it seemed like Washington was the only team that said it's either Diggs or bust. We're going in on this. And they won out. There was a couple other names in the running there as well. I believe Washington wanted to go over Alec Pierce, Indianapolis Colt. I'm glad the Colts did the right thing and didn't let him go. I think Keenan Allen was another name as well, but ultimately they settled on Diggs, and we're all in on that. Stephon Diggs, over 1,000 yards in the last 7 seasons in which he played at least 10 games. That's a pretty impressive statistic. So that's one of the big headlines in the NFL that happened over the last couple of days. To give an update on my Colts at training camp for the tens of people that care up in our region here in North Dakota, of course, it's some good news, which I've been very pleased to find out about, talking with my dad over the last couple of days. He was elated as well. It sounds like Daniel Jones is moving around well, which is very surprising given we are about 7 months out of his Achilles injury that completely derailed an all-time season for the Indianapolis Colts last season. But it seems like he's moving around well. He will definitely be the number 1 guy. And now this morning, the Indianapolis Colts making another big move that got me jumped and ready to go. I got my coffee this morning, but I think this was a little bit more beneficial. Jonathan Taylor and the Colts agreed to terms on a 2-year, $44 million extension 2 thumbs up in my book. You see it there. 3rd largest running back deal in NFL history. $44 million. The maximum value is $47 million with incentives, but it does include $39 million guaranteed. Now, this is all coming off of the back on some other interesting news that has happened at the running back position throughout the NFL. Bijan Robinson earlier this week signed a record-breaking extension, the latest big contract in the running back world in the NFL. Still waiting to hear on what's going to happen with Jahmyr Gibbs with the Detroit Lions. It sounds like he's holding out for a little bit, and that's exactly what Jonathan Taylor did the other season before signing a 3-year extension prior to this one. And he held out. It made me nervous. That's for sure. Things weren't looking good for a while. I thought Jonathan Taylor was about all good and gone out of a blue and white uniform, but eventually they worked something out, and that was huge. But to go with Bijan Robinson's contract, now Jonathan Taylor's contract, and Saquon Barkley's contract recently as well, it seems like the tides are turning when looking at the role of a running back in an NFL offense, which, that's fine by me. I enjoy the position. I think they're true workhorses, and you saw the numbers that Jonathan Taylor has put up throughout his career. He's not slowing down by any means, so it's a great sign that Colts were able to get that done. I don't care about the money. It is what it is. I'm just glad he's sticking around because I think Indianapolis has a good shot this year, although I say that, I don't say that every year. This is the one time I've been optimistic about the Indianapolis Colts. I think last year I said if they're floating around 500, I would be okay with that, and that's what they finished up with, but had a good chance of making it to the Super Bowl for a little bit. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention anything about the Vikings before we go to break. So to give you an update on what's happening down in the Twin Cities from yesterday's practice, the Star-Tribune reporting that the pads were on yesterday for the second time before an off day coming up today. It's been interesting to follow this quarterback battle between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy. Interesting follow, to say the least. And it sounds like the start of this week wasn't all that great for either party. And I love that they follow along with this statistic as closely as they do. The amount of snaps taken with the ones in 11-on-11 practice time. What was reported yesterday from what I saw, Kyler Murray took 18 snaps with the starters in 11-on-11 work, and McCarthy only took 7 snaps. So when you look at training camp in total for the Vikings and you tally up who's taken more snaps, Murray's taken 73 with the first team, and McCarthy's taken 38. They keep saying this quarterback battle's got a long way to go, but if you want to read into the numbers and the statistics of training camp, you can do so there, 73-38. From what it sounds like yesterday, Murray was able to connect on a couple of deep balls. McCarthy was efficient with the second-team offense. I think it's going to come down, and this is no shock, okay, how much does the experience of Kyler Murray, how much does that play into a factor? At least from what we've noticed over the last couple of weeks, Kyler Murray is a little bit more proficient in the intermediate and long passing game, and J.J. McCarthy is more efficient, nickel and dime it down the field, hit the check down, look through the progressions type. Of course, he is younger and has less experience than Kyler Murray, so we'll see. It also sounds like in terms of what they were able to do using their legs, both guys fumbled yesterday trying to scramble. Star Tribune also reporting that the pass game has a little bit more work to do, but the run game is coming along nicely. So I guess take that however you will. So like I said, the competition clearly going on there. Preseason games are going to be super important when it comes to time to determine, what's going to happen with this group. Of course, it's not just the quarterbacks; it's everybody else up and down the league trying to figure out if they're going to make a roster spot and if they're going to get any playing time or not. I'll be really curious to see what's going to happen there. Other thing to note from yesterday, KOC Kevin O'Connell wasn't going to speak to the media, popped up to the podium for just a little bit to share the word on wide receiver Jordan Addison. Going to miss a little bit of time this training camp with a thumb injury. Sounds like he jammed it. Nothing too serious, but he wanted to pop on and give an update to the local media down in the Twin Cities as to what's going on there. We'll get a bigger picture on the severity of Jordan Addison and that thumb injury coming up later. Now, yesterday, our friends over at KSTP, Alec Osmus being one of them, was able to catch up with some of the players, and one of the interviews that I found interesting was Gavin Bartholomew, the tight end they drafted out of the 6th round a couple of years ago from Pittsburgh, missed all of last season with a nagging back injury, but it seems like he's healthy now. Our guy Alec was able to catch up with him yesterday, and here's what he had to say about training camp down in the Twin Cities.
Thoughts as you embark on another training camp here?
Yeah, just happy to be out here and be healthy. That's the first thing. Missing last year definitely hurt. But also just being out here with the guys. It's fun to compete, fun to be out there with the new guys, so it's fun.
I know it sounds kind of self-explanatory, but when you are coming back from an injury, what goes into just trusting that's good to go again?
Yeah, no, really, like you said, just trusting it. I feel like the coaches and the training staff did a great job just getting me and my confidence back last year, practicing a little bit, and then throughout the offseason, just working with them. The training staff we have here is great, so really just working with them day in and day out, and just putting it all together out here.
The tight end room, TJ, Josh, I know you're learning from those guys, but what's on the table for you? What are you after?
Obviously for a spot on the team, that starts first thing, and then just being a great teammate. Whatever the team needs, I'm going to do. Just really being that team guy.
Do you feel you have twice as much to prove this year when you didn't get to show a lot last year, what you can do?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like for me, just earning the respect of the teammates, obviously they didn't see me out there last year, but, they knew what I went through. Obviously it hurt not being out there, but, I'm just trying to get their trust back and show them what I can do.
What is TJ and Josh learning from those guys? What is that experience like?
It's awesome. They're great at communicating, just giving tips and advice to me and the younger guys. It's just great to learn from vets like them. They've been doing it for a long time, so it's really good.
Those other two that they were mentioning there, TJ Hawkinson and Josh Oliver, the other two tight ends on the Minnesota Vikings roster. We'll see if Gavin Bartholomew can be a guy that works his way up, as you heard him say, wants to prove some things after missing his quote-unquote rookie season in the NFL with a lower back injury last season. Who knows? It'd be great to get some more tight end depth in that room for the Minnesota Vikings. But that's an update on what's happening down in the Twin Cities in the quarterback battle. And, of course, everybody trying to find some spots on the roster. Minnesota will take on New York August 15th, their first preseason game. 12 o'clock start time for that. That's out in East Rutherford, New Jersey. So all eyes will be on that. All right, let's take a break. That's enough NFL talk for right now. We'll get into more of that a little bit later on this morning. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll turn our attention back over to the college gridiron. Another interview from Bison Fall Camp. We'll hear from Alijah Wayne in his sophomore season, get his thoughts on Bison Fall Camp so far, what year 2 has been like in Fargo. That's coming up next.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Back on this Thursday morning, fitting as we welcome in our first guest of the day here on this Thursday morning edition of Hot Mic. We've been at Bison Fall Camp for the last couple of weeks. It's been a lot of fun to get back in the swing of things with that and just see all the talent that is coming back. And, of course, all the questions are swarming. How's it going to go in the first year of FBS? We've asked that for months now, and I think someone who has adjusted to the idea and is ready to go is a member of the defensive line who, as we have said over the last couple of weeks, the defensive line, or I should say the last couple of months, pretty much all offseason, the defensive line is not going to be an issue for North Dakota State because of guys like Alijah Wayne, who is going into his sophomore season after a very solid freshman campaign, burst onto the scene straight out of high school and made an impact, changing his body, was able to find a spot in the rotation at the defensive tackle position and produced last year in his opening season. Dom had the opportunity to talk with Alijah the other day. Here's that conversation brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
You're bigger.
Yeah.
What'd you put on here?
No, I've put on around like 15 pounds. I'm weighing,
I stay around like 297, 300 now. So I like to keep most of it muscle, but hopefully most of it's muscle. But yeah, I put on a couple.
What's the eating? What's the diet to get 50?
I mean, I kind of owe it all to Coach Knapp, Coach Jacobs, with their program that they got running right now. The Knapp, he's on us. He's about our body comps, and so I just trying to eat as healthy, as clean as I can. Not too much junk, not too much sugar. Obviously, just eating a lot. Honestly, I mean, it's always got to match up with our lifts and our workouts. So I always got to replenish myself with all that. But yeah, it's I owe it to Knapp. He's taking care of me for sure.
I want to go back. You and I visited this time last year. How different life feels for you now after playing a full season, and how different fall camp is right now? Yeah,
no, I feel a lot more confident, a lot more comfortable in my shoes walking into fall camp. I like a lot of energy flowing through me right now. Just first day of pads, obviously, but it's a complete different walking in. From how I felt being a freshman first time through fall camp, it was nerve-wracking hearing all the older guys talk about what you got to do, how to prepare. And I feel like I've learned enough and I've gathered enough for myself to come into this fall camp a lot more confidently and just a lot more very excited instead of worried or nervous of how things are going to go, I'd say.
Having actual game reps, and you played a lot, how much does that help you confidence-wise, knowing it's new opponents, but you've played Division I football?
Yeah, it helps a lot. Being thrown in with live bullets, not just practice, it helps, but also having guys around me like Logan Larson, Keenan Wilson, the vets in our group, having them around to support and to draw things from that they do, that also helped me, I'd say. Just obviously it all kind of, I encompass it all and just kind of try to get it on the field and do my best.
I haven't talked to you since the move, so I missed you in spring ball. So now, I mean, describe this of level of competition was one thing you were used to. Now it's going to be vastly different.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we all know it's going to be different, but we have the same goal. Nothing has changed. It's just trying to go 1-0 every single day. We put in the same work, same hours, same film hours, same practice. Obviously, mindset's different. Once game week comes and all that, but. We're just really trying to stay focused on where our feet at now and just trying to go 1-0 on the day for sure.
I don't know, following the off-season news, there's always so much, but the eligibility one directly affects you, where now you may have thought you only have 3 years. Now you have a fourth. Yeah. Where were you found out, and how does that change things going forward?
Yeah, no, I was in my room. I think I was on the phone with my parents, and it was like the night before we were talking about it, and just because it was up in the air. And then it happened. I was texting my parents throughout the day. It was very exciting. I feel like that's just I love the game of football, and I want to play it for as long as I can. So I was very, very excited to hear that.
Especially considering, I don't know what their plans were last year. Like, hey, you might have excelled your own timeline. Did that happen where you weren't sure what you were going to do last year?
Yeah, not necessarily. No, I wouldn't say. I feel like I've been on the same path that I've been on, just trying to carve my way into the role that I built.
How good can this defense be?
This defense is going to be great. Code Green we're flying. No pads on now, so we're going to be thudding. We're going to be hitting. I'm really excited. We've grown a lot this offseason, and we've been just absorbing everything from all the coaches, all the things that they've been pouring into us. I'm very excited for this Code Green group.
How much does it make you better going up against that guy every day? Against
Iron against iron, iron sharpens iron. I love it. I love the competition. I love getting better, even though, it might always not end up as a one rep. It was a rep nonetheless against great competition. This entire team, that's how this entire team works. Like we're so close with one another on and off the field that when we go against each other, it's nothing personal. We're just trying to make each other better, and that's what it is.
There's Alijah Wayne. Good conversation there with our guy Dom Izzo, catching up with him earlier in fall camp a couple of days ago. That conversation brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. What an impressive young man that Alijah Wayne is. Heard him talk about what the transition is like heading into year 2. Got the sense last year when I talked to him a little bit, you could hear him. Of course, I'm sure he hasn't had a camera thrown in his face and a microphone thrown in his face too often in high school. And a little nervous last year, but now this year he has really stepped up. good conversationalist, great speaker. He's gotten more comfortable in that regard, getting more comfortable being a leader on the team as well. If you're not familiar with Alijah Wayne's story, it's rather interesting. He was originally committed to South Dakota State in June of 2024. Also had some offers from Oregon State as well, amongst other schools. Eventually decommitted from SDSU and went to NDSU. The Bison coaching staff were still aggressive in recruiting him even after hearing the news of the commitment. And man, it has really worked out for North Dakota State. One of the most impressive things, just getting to know Alijah Wayne, and I found a picture of him in high school and what he was doing there in Nebraska. In high school, he was listed at 6'4", 250, which is not a small kid by any stretch of the imagination. There he is there. That's... what is that, like a tight end, defensive end, if you will? If you're going to play defensive tackle, a Division I football program, you got to get bigger. You got to get a little bit bigger than that, and he definitely did. Moving from his senior year of high school into his incoming freshman year, added 25 pounds, and not just 25 pounds of fat like I usually do, 25 pounds of muscle. And he just completely looked different. You saw him there. And then going in from this offseason, from last season into this season, added another 25 pounds. So right now, as you heard him say, he's 6'4", about 300 pounds or so, and really plugs up the middle for North Dakota State. Had a good season last year in his true freshman year, 13 contests in his true freshman season, 13 total tackles, 5.5 TFLs, 2 sacks. I remember his first one against the Citadel, him jumping up and down. That was a big moment. And I have to imagine, obviously, he's going to be a big piece of the interior defensive line for North Dakota State this upcoming season. Defensive line is going to be a strength of the team. They did not lose a lot from last season, to be quite frank. Lost a couple of guys on the edges, but when you look at the interior, unless I'm forgetting somebody, Jackson Dutenheffer is really the only one, and he went down with an injury last season, and that was a big loss. But now the guys that are back, Keenan Wilson, Logan Larson, who you heard Alijah mention, the veterans of the group, they are bringing in the younger talent and catching them up to speed. Alijah now, you can say, is a leader in that group as well, having a season under his belt. There's a large freshman class coming into that defensive tackle position as well. So it's interesting to hear him talking, to hear how he's changed his body over the last 2 seasons. Gave flowers to strength and conditioning coach Ryan Napoli, who is taking over for legendary coach Kramer after he announced his retirement. I've heard many of the guys say that this past summer has been the most challenging offseason summer OTAs that they have ever had, given the move to the FBS coming up. And it is paying off, and you are seeing it at Bison Fall Camp, or at least we have for the last couple of weeks. And I would definitely echo what he has to say. I think the defense is going to be pretty solid with the line. I said it on the show, what was that, last week, 2 weeks ago? I think the linebackers are going to be just fine. There is plenty of guys who have played, can make a difference, and some guys that haven't played but have shown a lot of promise over the last couple of seasons. I don't think safeties are going to be an issue, led by Darius Givens, the old man in the room, if you will now, the veteran who's been around there for a while. Corners I'm intrigued about. There is a lot of new faces at the cornerback position. Some transfers from the Division II level in DJ Volts and EJ Davis. How are they going to climb in? Chance Tucker from Notre Dame. Yeah, he comes from a big school. Didn't play a ton in his first 4 or 5 years of college football, but what can he do now with all that experience coming to North Dakota State? A couple other guys coming back, Marion Moore, Keegan Huber. I don't know. We'll see. And I shouldn't blanket statement that we can sit here and talk about and make our prediction of North Dakota State football all we want, and we will throughout the rest of the month leading into their opening game against Jacksonville State on August 29th. But we just don't know how good the offense is going to be, how good the defense is going to be, the defensive line, the new guys coming in, how good they're going to be against FBS opponents week in and week out, because this group, the group that they have this year, just hasn't done that yet. So we will know more, obviously, as the season goes. It's not like prior seasons, and I know I'm beating a dead horse on this, when going into the Missouri Valley and you can and rest of the FCS, and you can look up and down the roster and have a pretty good prediction on what the record's going to be for North Dakota State football. There's a little bit more curiosity heading into this season, and I think that's what's very exciting. I was peeking around the tickets and what the availability is for tickets. Of course, I know that's been the big talker throughout the last couple of weeks. I haven't been around. The Wyoming game sold out. Obviously, homecoming, no surprise on that. It seems like all the other home games have the tag of almost gone or not many tickets left. But I'm a little surprised that Jacksonville State game isn't sold out just yet. It's a really good Jacksonville State team that's coming in to open up the FBS era for North Dakota State football on home turf. It would be awesome if that was filled to the brim. I'm surprised those weren't flying out the door already. I'm curious the reason for that. Get out on the lake a couple of more times when you can on the weekend. Is it the cost? There's plenty of different factors that go into it, but it would be awesome to fill that up. Football season is right around the corner. Now, we got to get to break, so I'll say what I was going to say about the 5-for-5 eligibility for later on in the show. Just a little tease for it. The Division II level has passed age-based eligibility, and that will go into effect in the 2026-2027 academic school year. Head coach of MSUM, Steve Lockway, was in studio to talk about that earlier this week. We'll dive on some more information later on the show if we have time. But with that being said, we're due for a break. Let's step aside. When we come back, I'll talk a little bit about golf for a second. The Wyndham Championship's going on right now. And to remind you, Riley Swenson joins us at the top of the hour, 10 o'clock. Get his thoughts on everything happening in the local sports scene. So that's coming up when Hot Mike returns after this. Hour of the show this morning flying by on this beautiful Thursday. Riley Swenson will join us in just a couple of minutes here at the start of the 10 o'clock hour. I'm a little shocked in myself. I haven't mentioned golf yet since I've taken over the chair for today. But the Wyndham Championship going on right now in the PGA Tour, kind of the last chance disco dance for a lot of these players to crack into the top 70 to make the postseason in the PGA. Of course, we're keeping tabs on what's happening with our guy Tom Hoagie at the Wyndham Championship, and playing with his hair on fire today, which is a really promising sign. Was looking at the FedEx Tour or FedEx Cup standings, and he came into the day 79th, and as I just said, you got to get into the top 70 to get into that opening tournament of the PGA playoffs. He is currently on his opening round 4 under with just 3 holes left to play in his opening round at the Wyndham Championship, and that has him at a tie for 7th right now, which is massive for the FedEx Cup standings. He has already jumped up 5 spots today to move closer to the bubble of the top 70, which is pretty impressive. The next one, if he can get inside of the top 70, would be the FedEx St. Jude Championship. He's right there with Stephen Fisk, Mac Messner, and Austin Smotherman, who I have never heard of. So he's right there. And Jackson Koiven, who you just saw win the 3M Open a couple of weeks ago, is currently in that 75th spot. He's dropped down 5 spots today, so we'll see if Tom Hoagie can end out this weekend on a high note. Really, if he wins, it's an automatic in. Top 5, I think he got a really good chance. Top 10, I think you're okay depending on what the other guys on the bubble do. So a top 10 finish, definitely the goal for Tom Hoagie this week. We'll give you a round update on that later on this morning as we get towards the end of the show. Leader right now is Matty Schmid at 6 under through 15 holes with a couple of guys, 3 guys at 5 under right now in a tie for second. So we'll see what Tom can do out in Greensboro at the Wyndham Championship. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we will talk about what's happening on the local scene. Of course, the big day is today. North Dakota High School football fall camp kicks off today. We'll chat some college football news and also some baseball news with our guy, Riley Swenson, who will join us on the other side when Hot Mike returns on WDAY Extra.
Welcome back to Hot Mike with Sam Getzinger, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Oh, I got my own video now. I haven't seen that before. You know, Riley, I'm a pretty big deal around these parts.
I've gathered that.
You're also a big deal. Starting off our second hour of the show, Riley Swenson, WDAY sports anchor, joining us today. Great to see you. Feel like I haven't seen you in the last couple of weeks. How you been? How's everything going?
It's good. It's good. Summer is officially over. Football season officially starts. And
I was going to say, I said it to start the show. The last, June, there's stuff going on. July's pretty quiet. Beginning of August is kind of a slog, and now the next couple of days are kick out. We're getting out of that or not Bison football. That's going for sure, and then high school football fall camp is going on as well. We're ready to roll now.
No, it's fun. I'm fired up. I love football season. It's certainly. Obviously we talk about it all the time. It's probably the thing people most look forward to in this area is when football gets going, and I'm certainly in that boat. I'm fired up to get things rolling here.
I want to talk about high school fall camp in just a little bit because you're going to be out and about over the next couple of weeks. I just mentioned Tom Hoagie. I know you're a big golf guy, as am I. Wyndham Championship going on right now. How about Hoagie? Tied for 7th right now at 4 under in the final tournament of the regular season. That's a pretty big deal.
I saw that on the way in. I have the Tom Hoagie tracker on my Twitter. I have the tweet notifications because I'm a little nerdy like that. And so I saw, he was 4 under, and I was like, all right, that's a good start because I knew I was reading earlier this week he has to finish top 7 for a chance, as you were saying, and obviously you just win and you're in. That would be the easiest way. But I think it's a little more fun this time of year with golf. I don't know. Outside of the majors, for the average fan, I don't think a whole lot of things get people fired up for watching golf. Even the playoff system that they have doesn't.
It's a little confusing to follow.
I believe it's this year they're going to match play.
Are they?
So that changes things.
Is that this year they're doing that, huh?
I want to say it's this year. I could be wrong on that. I know it's either this year or in the near future. They're going to match play for the Tour Championship, which will be must-see TV.
I'm a fan of that.
Yes.
I like the Zier Championship that happens in the middle of the regular season where they go into a couple of different formats. I think there's got to be more of that. Of course, starting next season is going to be the interesting deal where it's pretty much 2 tours split up now where you're cutting them down the middle, and the good players are going to be on one side going to all the big tournaments, and everybody else, if they can't make that cut of 135 or whatever it is going to be in the other one. And
I don't know about that. It's going to be interesting. But, I would agree. They need more, like you said. They used to have a match play event on tour that is gone. It was like the Dell whatever match play, and they don't do that anymore.
Yep.
But like the golf tournaments all around here, outside of the one on our network, is stroke play. But then you look at the Pine to Palm, the Birchmont, and the Resorters, those 3 are all match play.
Right.
And that's a lot of fun to be in those tournaments and watching those.
And given when they get to that final one, so it's top 70 makes the FedEx St. Jude Championship, top 50 make the BMW Championship, top 30 make the Tour Championship. You can do match play with 30 guys as opposed to 100 some odd. It's a little bit easier to do that, so I'm all for it. But again, if you missed it, Hoagie is tied 7th right now. He's still got a long way to go. I looked up because you told me Tom Hoagie Tracker. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, it's great.
I love the most recent tweet. Boom, birdie at 6, lose to 4 under. I love that. I'm going to have to give that a follow.
Yeah, very positive account, I would say.
It looks like it.
Even if he it'll say 4 feet for birdie, and then it just missed it. They don't get too much into the details of, maybe you should have had that one, just missed it. And I'm like, you know what? I respect that. Just giving us the cold, hard facts.
Tom had an eagle at 5 today. That's It's pretty good. 40 feet for birdie. I like that as a tweet too. All right, let's get into the business. We've been talking about it. Today is a very big day with North Dakota high school football officially underway. We're going to have Mike Zier on in the bottom of the hour. I'm excited for that conversation. You know Mike a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
He's a ball of energy, isn't he?
Yeah, Cloverdale hot dogs, I'm sure, will come up. He loves them. I can't imagine a guy more excited for football to start than Mike Zier.
Well, he's the guy who's having practice at midnight to get started out in Western North Dakota. So he's coming up in a little bit. You are going to be traveling across the state over the next couple of weeks for our fall camp tour. Is that right?
Yeah. We're going to try and get to, I shouldn't say try, we're going to
get to. We're doing it.
We're doing it. It's not a try. There is no try here. It's do. We'll be around. North Dakota obviously starts today. And so we'll be hitting up a whole bunch of practices in our viewing area around up and down the state of North Dakota. And then Minnesota starts, I believe it's the 17th of August. And so then once they get going, we'll head across the river and continue then on that side of the river as well, and leading you all the way up to the start of the season. We'll have just about every day, a few stories at least throughout the week. If you tune into our nightly newscasts of various fall camps and season previews for all the teams in our area. Yeah, and there is some good football players in our area. There are
good football players, some good football teams. We'll touch on that. Speaking of one of them coming off of a Dakota Bowl last season is Fargo Davies, and you're going to be there tonight live in the 6. Is that right?
Yes, I will be there. Wayne Wermeyer might be the most media-friendly coach that I've ever worked with. So. I think I texted him. I don't think he's ever said no. So I love working with him, and I asked him if I could be live in the 6 with him. He said, yep, we can certainly do that.
Awesome.
Just a football guy.
Oh, yeah.
I asked him, said, hey, it's 6:20 work? He goes, yeah, we're usually doing team defense right then. So I kind of float around until we start pounding the rock. I was like, I love that.
Well, that's what they are known for, is pounding the rock.
That's what they do.
Oh, man, they did it last year, especially in that Dakota Bowl against Cheyenne, and just stepped on the gas and did not let up. You and I were talking about this off air. I'm very curious what Coach Wermeyer is going to do with this team. Pretty much all brand new guys this year. They lose so much talent from last season.
Right, yeah. I mean, there's no denying that. You look at their roster, everyone, for the most part on offense, that got the ball was a senior and won't be there.
Yeah.
The thing I think that helps them, opposed to, let's say you look at a team that throws the ball a ton, if you're trying to replace, guys on the outside and the edges and whatever, and, the guy that has to throw the ball 20 times a game might not go very well. When you stick them in that offense, you just got to run it to perfection. And it's hard to stop no matter who you are.
Right. There's something about, the wing T, the T formation that they run where obviously if you need some good skilled running backs for sure and a good quarterback who knows the offense. Most important thing is the offensive line. And if you can get that squared away, even though they do lose a lot of guys in the offensive line, a lot of big guys who have been huge in Davies' success over the last couple of seasons, but if they can get them up to speed, then they can hang with anybody, regardless of who's playing. And they got some young talent coming up, too.
They seem like a team to me in a program that they don't rebuild, they just reload.
Yeah,
this is kind of what
exactly.
is the feeling I get. And there's also something to be said about when you have that many seniors, not everyone can have the ball in their hands. There's only one football. So there's probably some sophomores and juniors that we just haven't heard a lot of yet because they didn't get the ball with a great team and they won the state title. So chances are they're still going to have some pretty talented guys to run the ball. We just haven't heard their name called yet.
I would agree with that, and I can't think of names off the top of my head, but I would echo that. Just calling some of their games last year, they got up on teams last year and really took it to in the regular season, and then you see some of the guys that maybe more JV players come in and do the same thing. Yeah. So they're going to be just fine. I'm looking forward to your conversation with Coach Wermeyer coming up later on tonight. I was looking at 3A football in the Metro for this upcoming season. Horace is going to be really good. I think West Fargo is going to have a better year this year. Shanley, I think, is going to be solid as they usually are. And Cheyenne, we'll have to see. They're missing a couple of guys after last season's runner-up finish as well. No knock on, Fargo North, but since their transition into the 3A, it's been difficult for them. And I think it may be tough unless they got some players that I don't know about. You will find out in the coming weeks. But 3A football is pretty good around here.
It is. It is. It feels like each year it's, and granted, I started in October, so I kind of got the end of it last year. But growing up in the area, following it throughout the majority of my life seems like anyone can beat anyone. It's a little bit like it's almost like the NFL. Even the bad teams, you know, that
they
it's
still
like
got a
they
chance.
you still got to
any given Friday.
right?
Right?
Exactly. Any given Friday night, you still got to suit up and play. So yeah, it should be a fun year. I think like you said, top to bottom, a lot of good teams, but I don't know. At least as we look at it right now, if there's one team that everyone's just like, it's over, they won.
Right.
I think there's a lot of parity, if you will.
I would agree with that. I think Horace has a slight edge on the field on the eastern side of the state, just given what they have done and returning a lot of players from last year. I think Horace has a good shot on things, but don't count out Shanley, Davie, Cheyenne, whatever it is, or whoever it is, I should say. Turning over to 2A before we go to break here, you guys going to be in Kindred tonight for fall camp. This is a big year for Kindred. You got your horses back for another year. You got to get it done, right?
Yeah. Actually, so Kenzie Iserman should be in Kindred right now as we speak.
Perfect.
They have a little morning practice today, so I believe she's there. And, like you said, this is the year they lost in the Dakota Bowl 2 years ago.
Yep.
And then last year, Starcevic got hurt at the end of the year. Luke Starcevic, that is.
Yep.
They lose to Devil's Lake on a missed extra point.
Yeah, that was a wild game.
Yes.
It's a cold game, that's for sure.
Always is.
It was super cold. Yeah.
And so you look at, granted, Kindred's a very good football program, but I don't know how many times you're going to have two guys that are going to Clemson and Minnesota
Power 4
coming
schools
through the program in the same year.
Not even just, it's a small town outside of Fargo, but nobody in North Dakota can say they have two Power 4 guys.
Exactly.
So this is a big year for them. Dom asked me this question last week or 2 weeks ago, and it really turned the gears in my head. Who's got more pressure on them this upcoming season to win a championship? Is it Kindred or is it your alma mater, the Moorhead Spuds?
Boy,
that's a tough one.
It's tough. I would think Kindred, purely on the fact of Moorhead lost in the state title last year, and so they got to the game last year. I also think if you look at Moorhead's level of football in 6A, there's going to be other teams with guys that are going Power 4.
Right. They're not the only ones with 6 guys going to Division I football.
In the state of North Dakota, there's not a whole lot of teams at that level and that have, like you said, 2 guys going to Power 4 schools. So I would
and then others going off to other college programs as well, Division II, whatever it may be. I said the same answer.
But
I think
close.
it is close. I think just given the way last season ended for Kindred, and then also to follow that up with the basketball season, and not that ending shockingly as well, and then the baseball season making it to the championship and coming up just one short. All those kids are playing all those same sports. They want to get it done, like they did years previously. So you and I had the same answer on that one. Very curious to see what Kindred's going to do. Again, our fall camp tour, Riley and the crew are going to be working on that over the next couple of weeks. Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to ask you about the local baseball scene because you have been all over that over the last couple of weeks as well. We'll get your thoughts on Legion baseball, Little League baseball happening, and maybe chat some UND football as well. That's coming up when we come back on Hot Mic. Back on this Thursday morning, Riley Swenson joining us for a couple of more minutes. Mike Zier will join us at the bottom of the hour. Before I ask you any more questions, I got to issue my public apology already. See, I'm not a morning guy, so my brain's not functioning 100%, but I kept saying Davies and Cheyenne last year at the Dakota Bowl. You reminded me it's Century, and I should know that because I watched the whole thing. I talked about it the whole time, but I apologize to our Cheyenne and Century faithful. I'll do better as we go on. Let's turn our attention to baseball while we got you for a little bit. First of all, what's going on with your Twins?
They're bad.
They're not good.
No.
What happened?
Well, I think they were never that good. And then
you didn't buy into the hype train when they were winning all these games and getting all these pitchers?
I did a little bit.
I was all on board.
The problem is apparently when they go to Kansas City, they're like 8-15 there in their last 23, and like it's just doesn't matter how good the Royals are.
Right.
They just never play well there.
Well, those are games that you got to get done against the Royals. 12 games back in the Central. You got an 8-game lead on them, I think it is, and you got to win those games.
Yeah, no doubt. Those are ones that they'll be, if they miss it by a game or two, these are the series they'll be kicking themselves.
We'll look back. They're 3 games below 500. Game 3, that series is later on tonight. All right, local baseball. I showed the highlights. There were highlights for Northern California, not so much for our 13U Little Leaguers that are out there at their Little League World Series. They're playing 12U's looking to go to Williamsport, and region baseball, Fargo Post 2's doing pretty well. There's a lot happening in the local Fargo baseball scene, isn't there, right now?
There is, yeah. No, there is. And we've been out and talked to them all. We were at the state championship win for the 12U team, and they talked about how fun it would be, to get back to Williamsport after the one team did it. I think once you get over that hump, and then you can come back and tell your buddies and your brothers about, it raises the level, makes it a little cooler, the cool thing to do in the summer.
Exactly.
And then I was at the 13U practice last week before they headed out to California, and really impressive. They were the first team in Central Region history to lose their first game and then win their next, I believe it was 6 in a row.
That's pretty good.
Granted, the intermediate division's only been a thing for 15, 20 years, I want to say.
Right, it's fairly new.
But still, tough to lose your first game and then come all the way back.
Yeah.
And then a perfect segue was we saw West Fargo lose their first game. They came all the way back. They beat Post 2 once, and then Post 2 obviously beat West Fargo. Had the chance to talk to them this week. And I think the thing that helps them the most maybe is they have 3 guys who went to the World Series.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Back in 2024. So Wyatt Kozadowski, Caden Nelson, and Carson Sheik were all on that team.
Some pretty good pitchers too.
Their
it seems unfair to have them on a pitching rotation.
Well, right, and you watch them, I was watching throughout the spring, and you watch them with their high school teams, and you're like, okay, like they're going to have the ace from Davies. They're going to have the top 2 or however many pitchers from South. They're going to have the ace from North. And it's like, you put all those guys on one team.
Right.
They might be pretty good.
That's pretty good. And all these guys can hit the ball pretty well, too, Yeah, and that helps out a lot.
Yeah, no, I think that might be the most impressive thing is those guys that we just listed, and pretty much all their pitchers, they don't have a whole lot of POs on the roster, pitchers only. They all hit and pitch at an extremely high level.
Right.
And honestly, I think it's just they got hot at the right time. I mean, they were mowing through that state tournament until West Fargo got them that first game. It's a weird tournament setup at the regional. There's only 6 teams. It's the weirdest bracket I've ever seen, maybe in my life. It's like, oh my! It puts your mind in a blender. If Game 7 winner loses, they go. It's like,
okay, so it's one of those deals.
What happened to just straightforward? You win, you move on.
Right, exactly. Well, you were telling me last night in the 13U bracket where that team is at. That's kind of an interesting bracket too, right? Because they're in the double elimination portion. If they win, they go to the U.S. Championship. But then is it single elimination? Is that right, or am I wrong on that?
So last night they were playing to go to the U.S. Championship game.
Yep.
They lost that game. So now they're playing, so it's double elimination up until the U.S. Championship.
Right.
But then that game, like when West Fargo played Post 2, West Fargo had to beat them twice. If you make it to the U.S. Championship game, you don't have to beat them twice. It's just one game, winner take all.
Okay.
So in theory, if Fargo wins their next game in the loser's bracket, goes back and then beats that team from California, the team from California would only have 1 loss.
Yeah.
Fargo would only have 1 loss, but Fargo would be playing comes out of the international bracket for the championship.
I guess I can get behind that a little bit.
I cannot.
I can get behind that, a little
in this
bit.
scenario now that Fargo, our guys are
right. But that's the reason why I'm going to get behind it. It should be okay. So U13 is going to play, and the 12U team. Those games are both on ESPN. Plus, Fargo Post 2 playing their region tournament Mandan. A couple more minutes before I let you go. Wanted to touch on a couple more things. You've had your finger on the pulse with UND football. What have you gathered up in Grand Forks recently?
This is my personal opinion. I think they're going to be really, really good and
I
really
think so.
fun to watch.
I think so.
And I guess that's not a blazing hot take. They're picked in top 10 in the polls, top 4 in the Valley. I think any one of those top however many teams in the Valley could win, and no one would be shocked. The thing that I find most impressive is they know there's high expectations, having their quarterback back, having probably the best edge rusher in the country back, two of the best edge rushers in the country back, and having coach in year 2. And they're not, you hear a lot of, well, we're not focused on that. They've laid out pretty clearly the goal is conference championship, national championship. We expect to be there, and that's what we want to do. And I like that. I like that a lot. Now,
be open about it.
Right. And I was talking with Schmidt this week, and he said, those are our goals, no doubt. It's going to be a product of our process. So it's not like they're going out there every day, day 8 of fall camp, like today's the national championship.
Right.
But I like that they're not running from the expectations, and they like that. I think you'd rather have a fan base that says, hey, we expect to be in the playoff, we expect to make a run, than just being happy with making it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that program is at, and I'm really excited to watch them play this fall. I think it's going to be a really good year for them.
And we'll have coverage of them all throughout the fall on WDAY News at 6 and 10 and beyond, that's for sure. Riley, I appreciate it. I'll let you get going. I know you got a busy day today with fall camp tours starting, so best of luck with all that.
Thank you.
Tell Coach Schwermeyer we said hi, and give him my best of luck for this upcoming season as well.
Will do.
All right, Riley Swenson joining us on this Thursday morning. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're chatting more high school football. The head coach of the Beach Buccaneers, Mike Zier, will join us fresh off of his midnight practice. We'll chat about that when we come back on Hot Mic.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Welcome back on this Thursday morning. Big thank you to Riley Swenson for joining us, talk about what he and the sports department has going on here as we approach the midway point of August and football season underway. I'm really excited about our next guest here, and there's no better way to symbolize and talk about the start of the high school football season than having on our guy, the head coach of the Beach Buccaneers, and I would say one of the best football analysts that I have ever worked with, and that's Mike Zier. Joins us fresh off of, I'm hoping, nap after his midnight practice out in Beach. Coach, I haven't seen you in a while. How you been?
Yeah, doing good, Sam. It's good to see you. And hey, life is good, man. Football started, and I was thinking about this last week. I have either played, or coached in football since 1983.
Wow!
And I never missed a fall. So I'm always excited, and it's good to see you, and happy to be on Hot Mic again.
Well, I was scrolling through your Twitter last night, and I saw you're talking some smack to our guy Troy Mattern. You're putting yourself in some big shoes to fill. You said you could put together a better performance today than he did earlier this week. Is that what we're going to expect here?
Well, Steve, that guy, it's image with that guy. He's got the black SUV, he's got the black shades, he's got the great hair, he's got, he's always dressed to the nines. He just rolls in, he shows up, and the room sparks up. See, I have to actually talk. I can't just do that.
There we go.
So, yeah, I think we'll be okay. And then he never wants to talk about running the football because his passes are runs, and I'm like, no, they're not. That's why they're called something different. But
exactly.
I think Coach Mattern's one of the best, if not the best coach in the state. I thought that for a lot of years, and it was really fun this summer. We coached in the Shrine game. Obviously, he was 11 man, I was 9, and we got to sit down and visit over a big hunk of beef. That always makes life good when you got a big hunk of beef right in front of you. And so I had a good visit with him. He's a good man, and he does a great job there.
Well, Riley wanted me to ask how many Cloverdales you've taken down recently. Was that on the menu yesterday after your midnight practice?
Listen. I went cheap. All right, I went to Glendive, Montana, and to Reynolds, and shout out to Reynolds and Glendive, Montana, and they had the Bar S like sausages. So Bar S is like one of the worst hot dogs ever.
Yeah,
well, they've expanded now into like brats that just look like jumbo hot dogs. Okay. $5 a package.
Oh, really?
$5 a package.
Oh,
yeah. So and the kids snarfed them down.
Really?
But Yes, but the cheesy hash browns that Mrs. Zier makes and the egg bake, and then coaches brought in fruit and some other things. So, it went really well. So that was good.
I saw some of the pictures you posted. We'll pop them up on the screen here in a little bit. It all looked great, and I was a little jealous that I wasn't there to try any of it. Now, I know we've had you on for the last couple of years to talk about this, but for those that aren't familiar, what you guys do out on beach, when this time of the year comes, fall camp is able to open up, you guys decide to go out at midnight. Tell us the story once again of how that started and how this tradition has continued to grow.
So I started it quite a few years ago now, because I'm starting my 27th year in beach and 21st as head coach. And we started it, did it. I just wanted to get some excitement for the kids. And what's the best part about high school football? Really, it's playing under the lights.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's what makes high school football different than all the other sports, especially even for football. And the funny part about it, Sam, is then I took it away. And my assistant, Mark Goldberg's like, hey, Coach, man, I think we got to get this back. I mean, the kids really want it back or whatever, because it is a lot of work and things. And I was more concerned because I have kids that live, 40 miles north of beach and 40 miles south of beach, because we're the whole county. And I was worried about travel. So they know that if they can't make it, they can, just come the next day. But they find someone to stay with or whatever, and it goes really good, and the kids love it.
That's awesome. Well, how did it go last night? What was the report of what you saw from your team on day one?
So I'm really happy. We have 24 kids on our roster, and the new numbers came out, and we are 0.3 of a person. I don't know how you do that. We're 0.3 of a person away from being the lowest enrollment 9-man team.
Really?
And and we also, of course, obviously don't have any co-ops. So for us to have 24 kids out, it's great. It's our best numbers in years. So hopefully we can kind of do more of a traditional type practice with a scout defense and things. And, I might have to actually look and see if someone will want to play a JV game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know, right? I mean, so that hasn't happened in a while, but that's a good problem to have.
Well, you and I were chatting off air. It's so interesting when you talk about numbers and it comes to high school football, especially at the 9-man level. It all just depends on each class every year and the graduation the year before. Am I wrong on that? Is that fair to say?
No, I mean, it's cyclical for everybody, even the big boys. Mm-hmm. But for us, you see it more because if you have two classes or three back to back to back that only have like two boys that play or three, and then no offense to them, there's only really one real player, that makes for kind of a long season. But I have a lot of seniors this year. I have a lot of kids that have played for 4 years.
Yeah.
In fact, Sam, I got two kids. The first two kids I ever brought up as 8th graders, played some special teams for us. They're all seniors this year. Wow. So, I mean, we cannot use as an excuse that we're not experienced.
Well, right, exactly. I bet for you going into year 27, that's a big sigh of relief as a head coach, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, for the last 10 years, I've been in we need to fill the team mode.
Yeah.
When I started as head coach 21 years ago, Sam, I had one goal and one goal only, and that was to play competitive football. I understand championships, I understand that, whatever, but we're a different animal. Mm-hmm. I just want to play competitive football. When people play us, they know that they have to prepare. They have to have their kids ready to beat us because we're going to bring the wood every time. We might not win. We might lose by 50, whatever it may be, but it's not just going to be Cupcake City for them to come. Yeah. And I feel that we've done that. And that makes me feel really good.
That's great to hear. I want to go back to what last night in the first practice that you had. How were the energy levels with the guy? I'm always curious about that. I think if you tell me now, go practice football at midnight at the age that I'm at, I don't know if I'd be able to do it. If I was in high school, maybe. So how did they handle that? Was there some sleepy eyes there last night or no?
Oh, Sam, let's be honest. I do kind of know you personally. There was a meal afterwards,
That's
right?
Fair. Yeah, I would have been there for that.
You may have shown up for that. I mean, come on,
I would have snuck out practice a little early and waited in line.
I didn't have any of those donuts like you always have down on the sidelines and stuff, but that's okay.
I got a pair next to me right now. I've been just waiting to chomp on. So no, it seems like they were all ready to go then, huh?
Well, another thing I like about it, Sam, that I found out is that it reboots the kids' system. In other words, let's be honest, a lot of kids stay up later in the summer, so they're used to kind of coming in at that time. And then, okay, guys, now we start at 7 in the morning, the rest of 2-a-days, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we got plenty of kids that get up early and do chores,
right?
So it's tough. And but the energy level was great. Our coaches were great. And it was awesome because we had Landon Leckler, former Bison, out there showing some Bison drills, which, I mean, I had to whoa, big fella, calm down here. I need these guys for the season here. All right. Landon still got a little bit of the juice. And then our offense coordinator, Mark Goldberg, does a great job. And then the other thing that's cool is all 4 of the coaches, I had 5 coaches before them, were former players of mine last night, and that means a lot to me too. So,
how much does it mean to you to have a coaching staff like that, and to get a guy like Landon there, so these younger players can see, this is, you can have a successful future and a successful season. These guys have done it. How much does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, that's why I do it. I mean, I'm not, like I said, we're not chasing trophies out here in Beach. All right. We're developing kids because football relates to life. If you can't get up and go to practice at 7 in the morning, what are you going to do when your wife has an emergency? What are you going to do when someone needs you? All right. Everything's a test in life. All right. And so, but with those guys, they know the expectations. They know what we want, what we're trying to do, what kind of brand of football. And I got to tell you, Sam, I mean, I love the football part of it, but they're better husbands and they're better fathers, and that's the most important thing. And that's what means the most to me.
You're going to make me want to run through a wall this morning. That was a beautiful speech. Do you give those every game?
So you can ask around. I tend to be a verbal person, Sam.
I couldn't tell.
I'm usually not lost for words. So I get excited about football, and I get excited about Beach Buccaneer football and what we're about. And you have to know what your purpose is for a program. And I get it. There's some programs that it's playoffs or bust. It's all this stuff, and I get it. But we're developing players. We're developing young men, and the wins will come.
Yeah.
And if they don't, hey, the sun will come up tomorrow. And if it doesn't, we got bigger things to worry about.
Yeah.
So that's what we're about out here.
Absolutely. Again, Mike Zier joining us, the head coach of the Beach Buccaneers out in western North Dakota, as day 1 of North Dakota high school football fall camp is officially underway. Their first practice is in the books. I want to ask you about, give us a preview of 9-man football in North Dakota for this upcoming season. What are some teams that you have your eye on, and who could give some fits throughout the year, if you will?
Well, I think for our region, there's 2 teams that I think are going to be really good. I think there's going to be a few, but I think Napoleon's going to be really good. We start with them in Mandan and the jamboree that we do. Yep. And then Linton is always tough. Linton HMB is always tough. Statewide, I mean, you got Lemoore, man.
Yeah,
I mean, you know how I was talking about Coach Mattern being one of the best coaches. Andy's one of the best coaches out there. I mean, that guy, program he runs, so lots of stuff's going to go through Lemoore. And then another one for our region is never count out Grant County Flasher. Grant County Flasher, Coach Krenz, they're the most, hands down, the most underrated program in the state. But if you look at his record and what he's done in his years there, it would really surprise a lot of people, and they just keep churning out wins.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see what the season is going to shape out to as we get closer to the Dakota Bowl. We've seen New Rockford, Cheyenne, and Lemoore, Litchfield, Marion put some battles together over the last couple of years. Those 2 teams have been really fun to watch recently. Coach Belquist up there in New Rockford's been doing a wonderful job. I think you would agree with this. 9-man football in North Dakota is in a really good spot right now. If you can get numbers, there's some good talent all across the state. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. And New Rockford is another team that, don't count them out. But I mean, to me, 9-man football is really great. With the state has the new way they're doing it, where it's just going to be 40 teams, 40 co-op schools, whatever. And so you have your 10 regions. The only thing that I don't like is that we're the the division that has the fewest players, but we play 9 games. I'd like to see us have 8 regular season games, but I get it. I'm a team player. I understand why they do it, and from someone who has a tough time getting games, this forces everyone to play us, and the way things have gone, it's been great. Like we've the last 5-8 years, whatever, we've played Kidder County. We never used to do that. That's fun. It's a nice, just straight down the interstate. And so, I like the direction 9-man football is going. But I got to tell you, the level of 9-man football has risen quite a bit. It really has, and which is great. It's great to see, and I think that's a credit to the coaches. I mean, and the programs in the communities. I mean, you can't tell me that in Lemoore that the community doesn't buy into the football and what they're trying to do, or in New Rockford. I mean, you can't get more of a sports town than New Rockford, right? I mean, so I'm just saying that and Beach, our people buy in and they come and support our kids, and that's what it's all about, right? Is so that it's a good experience. I mean, taxpayers are paying for this, Sam.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like,
go support them.
I mean, that's right. I mean, so let's come in and let's support our kids because they got that small window to play football. You and I aren't going to go throw the pads on and do one-on-one drills, Sam. Although I think we could people probably watch that, Sam.
We could film that and we could put it on. It could be our halftime coverage at the Dakota Bowl. A couple more questions before I let you go. We've talked about it. 27 years now you've been in the coaching game. Do you ever take a step back and look at this has been a pretty fun career so far, or you just keep on going on to the next one?
No, I always reflect. At the end of the year, I always reflect, and that's when I decide if I'm coming back. I mean, I think I'm blessed. I'm in a position to where I can leave on my own terms, and of course, you never know, right? But I think I've earned that, and I think back to all the early teams, all the kids that got us there, big wins. When we beat Shiloh on the road for the first time, when we did, I mean, I could go on and on and on. Our first playoff game that we won in school history was here in Beach, and I mean, it's all good memories, but it's all about the kids, Sam. Yeah. It's not about me. It's not about it's about them understanding the game of football and those lifetime memories.
Absolutely. Mike Zier joining us on this Thursday morning. It's great to see you. We'll catch up with you again soon. Best of luck this season, and we're hoping for a good year from the Beach Buccaneers.
Hey, thanks, Sam. I appreciate it, and it's good to see you.
All right. Have a good one, Coach. Good luck with the rest of fall camp. Mike's here joining us on this Thursday morning, the head coach over in Beach. Great to hear what he had to say about this program and the vision and the motivation moving forward. Yeah, wins and losses, they mean a lot in high school, but, of course, the more important thing is developing young men, young women into being great husbands, wives, partners, and role models for the future ahead. And Mike does a great job of that. And you could hear just the way he talks and how much passion he has for his kids, his team, and for 9-man football in North Dakota. Always great to catch up with Mike, and hoping the best for the Beach Buccaneers coming off of a 1-8 season last year. But good numbers in the program this year. We'll see if that turns around for the guys over out west. All right, just a couple of minutes left to go in the show. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll get into our what to watch, and then we will get out the door on this Thursday and get you ready for the rest of the week. That's coming up when we come back. Last couple of minutes left on this Thursday morning. Appreciate you for joining us on Hot Mic today. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo. Before we get out the door, let's get into our what to watch and remind you what's coming up tomorrow as well. All right, coming up later on this evening, it's Game 3 between the Royals and the Twins, 6:30. They're on the big channel. They're on ESPN tonight. Big game for the Twins. Try to snap a 4-game losing skid after dropping their game yesterday in Kansas City by a score of 2-1. See if Minnesota can make up any ground here in the early part of August. Also later on tonight on Amazon Prime at 8 o'clock, it's the Sparks against the WNBA leading Lynx. Should be a good game coming up at 8 o'clock. And also on the Golf Channel at 2 o'clock, but also underway right now is the Wyndham Championship out in Greensboro, North Carolina. Last chance for guys like Tom Hoge to try to get into the top 70 and make their way into the PGA postseason. Good news, Tom Hoge is now tied for 4th after his round today. Finishes with a 5 under 65, went 34 on the way in, 31 on the way out with an eagle on his second 9. He is 1 shot off of the lead after his opening round. A lot can change today and throughout the weekend, but so far off to a good start with Matty Schmidt and Denny McCarthy at 6 under, Davis Thompson at 6 under as well. So Hoge is right there, now projected 74th in the FedEx Cup standings. He jumped up 5 spots already today, came into the round at 79th in the FedEx Cup standings. He is now sitting at 74, and if he can finish top 7, I think he's in. I think he's made it. If he wins, automatically you're good to go. If he's top 10, somewhere in the mix there, then it depends on what the other guys do on the bubble, but a lot are trending downwards. So it's a good day for Tom Hoge. All right, with that being said, I want to remind you, coming up tomorrow, the show is live in North Fargo at North Dakota State football's indoor practice facility for Bison Media Days. We'll have conversations with Tim Polasek and a lot of players coming up from 9 to 11 tomorrow right here on WDAY Extra and however else you watch this program. So we're looking forward to that, and then we get into the weekend as well. So until then, have a great rest of your Thursday. Big thanks to Riley Swenson and Mike Zier for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow at NDSU.